All right, welcome back to another episode of Building the Next Bull. In today's interview, I talk with Chris from ethpass. He's building this awesome tool that allows you to verify NFT ownership using Apple Wallet or Google Wallet in your mobile application, on your mobile phone. So it's super useful. People are using this at conferences, as tickets. And what's really cool is that it's inherently, primarily a developer tool. So it's an SDK that allows you to integrate this kind of pass generation based on NFT ownership inside your applications. So great conversation, catching up about Developer DAO, meeting at ETH Denver for the first time, his amazing background as a software engineer, and a lot of other topics. So I hope you enjoy this. And if you do, please like and leave a comment. It really helps boost the video. And make sure to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on any future interviews. Yeah, enjoy the interview. Awesome. So I have a really special guest here today, Chris Dro, who is building a really, really awesome project called ethpass. We'll get into that in a second, but we met online through Developer DAO. We hung out at the ETH Denver conference. So really excited to have this conversation and kind of show the world what you're building.
Likewise, dude. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to chat with you today.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, based on some previous conversations, I learned that it's kind of nice to have you do like maybe a quick 2-slide presentation on who you are, what's your background, and also, you know, some overview of like what ethpass is or what your project is with a visual. So hoping that would be more engaging for people. If you want to get right into that, that'd be great.
Sure. Let me go ahead and share this. So I kind of threw this together last minute, but hopefully it gives a quick overview. Born and raised in LA, been involved with computers at a pretty young age. So around 12 years old was when I started kind of tinkering with building my own computers, my own PCs, and programming a little bit. And then, you know, when I graduated high school, my plan was to enter college majoring in computer science. But for whatever reason, I said, I don't really want to do this. I want to do something else. And I'd always wanted to play guitar. So I was like, all right, you know, I'm going to focus on guitar and I'm going to major in music. So I totally changed gears, majored in music. I transferred up north to UC Santa Cruz, where I really started focusing on classical guitar.
That's amazing.
And then
I did see this on your Twitter profile.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's why you got the little guitar picture there. So, you know, spent 3 years up north. Studying guitar, and I was always interested in like flamenco, so like Spanish gypsy culture and music. So I decided after my studies to move and relocate to Spain and like really immerse myself into that culture and music. And it was really there that I started programming again. I was, you know, like I wrote here, just to make ends meet. Like I was broke, so I started making websites for 300 euros, I think, for people, for businesses. And that was enough to pay. That was my month's rent, you know, 300 euros paid my room. And, you know,
when
just
was this
slowly
around?
from there, I start. This is 2009.
Oh, wow. Okay. So like financial crash.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that didn't really matter much, but yeah, right around the financial crisis, right? In 2008. But yeah, it was around 2009 is the time I started getting back into programming. And at this time, like, even like CSS wasn't, when I was young, I didn't use CSS, you know, just like HTML. And so I started just kind of getting really back into it, and just kind of came like second nature to me. I was able to pick it up rather quickly. And long story short, you know, like that just became a side hustle for me for many years until I moved back to LA in 2013. And, you know, in Europe, I feel like it's a lot easier to make it as a musician. You have a lot more opportunities to gig and teaching jobs and whatnot. But moving back to LA, it proved to be extremely difficult. So again, just to be able to pay rent, I fell back into programming. But then this time around, it was more like a professional developer role. And then from there, it's just been like a crazy train ride. You know, worked a couple of years as a freelancer.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, I started my own little dev agency with a partner of mine in LA. And that's really where I started becoming a little bit more of like a business owner as well. I was able to not only develop and build applications, but work really closely with other product and engineering teams in the space, startups, enterprise companies, and gained a lot of experience there. So
that's
fast
awesome.
forward, I guess, to 2021, winter break of 2021. So I don't know if you want to go into how I got into crypto in general right now, or if that's going to come later. But
No, no, I would
basically,
actually,
I've
yeah,
kind of
yeah, no, let's take a second. I would love to know like how you made that transition. I mean, you
sure.
said 2016, right? Started that dev shop with your partner,
So
and
yeah, exactly. Yep.
yeah, from there, like,
2016.
yeah, yeah. How did the business grow, and how did you, yeah, get into crypto?
Yeah. So in 2016 is around the time first time I ever bought Bitcoin. So that's kind of was my
Wow,
entry.
nice.
I just I just picked up some.
Actually, yeah,
My
around the same time as
partner
me too.
was, yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
So my partner had been in it very early, like early, and he kind of started talking to me about it around this time. I think it was like around 3,000 it was going up to, something like that.
Yep.
So I just
Yep.
bought a little bit without thinking too much about it. And then I think around 2017 is when I started getting into Ethereum and learning a little bit more about smart contracts, development and all that stuff. And actually, I became more fascinated with the mining aspect of Ethereum. So
Mm.
when I saw these people building these mining rigs, it kind of reminded me of my childhood of when I used to build my own PCs.
Hmm.
So I was like, I want to build a mining rig. So I actually got into crypto really by mining. So I ended up like building my
That's
own rig
cool. That's
uh,
cool.
with 6 graphic cards, and then I just scaled it up to like 42. I was like mining like 1 giga
Oh my
hash in
gosh.
2017 or something. Uh, I don't recommend anyone doing that. I probably would have been better off just like buying ETH instead of
Yeah.
investing. But
How come? Why is that?
it oh geez, because I mean it was a lot of work to set up all those mining rigs, and then heat becomes an issue when you have that many GPUs
Oh
running
yeah,
at
if you
one
have it in your
time.
house and everything. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So I had to install like attic vent with my dad, and all this crazy stuff. And just in the end, it just, what was ETH at the time? I think ETH was probably like 200-300 bucks at the time. So
Hmm.
had I just bought it flat out with the investment,
Yeah.
I probably would have better returns.
Got
But
it.
it was definitely a learning experience. So,
Totally.
um, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. I did a couple little projects on my own. I was really involved with Swarm. I don't know if you know about or
Hmm.
heard about Swarm. It was kind of
That was like decentralized
precursor to
storage.
IPFS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So IPFS was around at the time too, but Swarm was like the bigger player, I guess you can say at the time.
Hmm.
So I got really involved with that project and was building a couple things around it, but nothing really that big. And then things really just ended up uh, being focused on the business, right? Like we weren't really doing Web3 applications at the time in 2018.
Yep.
But I was always in the background, kind of paying attention to what was going on. So let's fast forward to 2021. Um, Everyone from my family and my friends are texting me saying, "Do you know what an NFT is? What's an NFT?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wait, what's going on? Like, yeah, I know what an NFT is. Like, okay, what's going on? So I started just kind of tuning into like this whole new wave that was emerging from like PFPs to membership based NFTs. And I was skeptical at first. It felt a lot like the 2018 like ICO run, where just everybody and anybody was kind of deploying
Yeah.
projects and ideas and hype and stuff.
Wait, you're the
But
first person I've heard call it
around
ICO. I've always heard
uh,
people say it like spell out the letters ICO.
oh,
Yeah.
oops, I don't
No, no,
know.
no, no. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not right or wrong. It's just like that. Yeah. It's nice to have diversity.
Well, when we talk, we can argue about whether you call POAPS or POAPS too.
I do call them POAPs, but I feel like yeah, yeah.
I think
Whatever. I'll
there's,
get
I
into
think,
it.
I think it, I think it's on their FAQ on their site that it says POAP. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But yeah, so I started just basically getting this feedback from family and friends about this new wave that was going on, and like I said, I was pretty skeptical at
Mhm.
first, but then around September of 2021, things just started really clicking to me about this is so much more than just a profile picture and like what this NFT represents for certain communities,
Yeah.
memberships, perks, exclusives. So I started thinking about, well, I see all these token gating mechanisms that exist online, and what's going to happen in real life when people need to actually go to physical locations and prove ownership of their NFTs. How's that going to work?
Totally.
Not only for people that are in the space, like we know how to use MetaMask, Ledger, and all that stuff,
Right.
but thinking really forward into the future, how are people going to be able to utilize this technology without interacting with any type of wallet?
Definitely.
Um, So Christmas break, I started essentially the proof of concept for ETHPass. But before ever really dealing with like Apple and Google Wallet, which we'll get into, I built the first proof of concept using like NFC tags and
Hmm.
cards. So you would basically have, I don't think I have one here still, but you would essentially be able to like program an NFC tag that would be your representation of your private keys, and you could then use that to scan and prove ownership of a certain
I
NFT.
remember you talking about that around
Um,
that time. Yeah. Showcasing
Probably,
some
and
of
I was just like,
yeah, this
okay,
proof of concept. Yep. Yep.
but yeah, I built that in like a day or two, and I was kind of like, okay, this is cool, but like, who really wants to carry these plastic pieces around, And what happens if you lose it? So I started thinking of other ways to kind of deliver this, and I had become a huge fan of Apple Pay throughout COVID.
Hmm.
Like, I started using it for payments, even tickets, boarding passes. I was almost upset when I couldn't download it on my Apple
Yeah.
Wallet.
Yeah.
I wanted that feature. So I just thought, okay, well, let me see if I can do this using, Apple's API. And I kind of whipped it up, and I threw that tweet together, which is, I think, the first time you engaged with that idea, right? I put out that
Yeah.
tweet. It kind of blew up on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Was it it was a
I think
video
that's when
clip
you
or
reached
something too,
out.
right? I think.
It was a video clip. My fiance behind me
Yeah.
recording with the camera.
Right. Yep.
Terrible. But I was like, okay, let me just get this out
Yeah.
there.
Build in public.
Build in public, and then I just basically I kind of took the feedback that I got and kind of slept on it for a few days, and I was honestly just gonna like like not toss it to the side, just like another side
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
Um, but every day I tried to go to bed and I kept thinking about like the potential here and the different use cases and so much more you can do in the future. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna see this through and see what happens. So we're like 6 months, 7 months in now. And there's been a fair amount of progress, and the
This
product
is
has definitely
awesome. This
evolved
is really cool. Yeah,
significantly.
I'm so
Yeah,
excited for this product demo and to kind of get into it. But thank you so much for sharing your journey too. I love this like progression
sure.
of, having done a lot of Web 2 development, especially with this Web 2 shop, and then this kind of experimentation mindset, this prototyping mindset of like, let's build some side projects, get some feedback, build in public, and then find something that's actually like really useful that you personally would find like, okay, I would use this kind of a thing. Yeah, like a big theme of this show, building the next bull, is it's not about like the financial aspect of the bull market that we'll create or whatever. It's really the
Right.
spirit of like, how do we actually make real useful things with this new wave of technology? So I was playing around with this on the
Absolutely.
website. I would love for you to talk about it and give a product demo. But I was playing around and I was like, I
Yeah.
could totally see this being like an events solution, a ticketing solution, like this kind of stuff. And I love the integration with Apple Wallet. So yeah, glad you called that background out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'll go through the product demo right now, and I think like a couple of things that I want to highlight through that is so this is essentially built as like an API service, right? So the idea here really is that other products and companies will leverage our API and build it within their own product and user flow. The vision is really that you, as a consumer, like don't even know what ETHPass is,
Hmm.
right? Like you can see some of the screenshots on our homepage where like each pass can be branded to match your brand, logos, color schemes, whatever it
Mm.
might be. Um, so you can see the couple that we did here, like we did Ethereum, conference with Unlock. It was our first trial run, but you can see like the ticket here branded to look like ETHCC with the color scheme, the logos. What we did with Quantum. So just like when you download your boarding pass from Southwest, right? And like it looks like Southwest's brand and logo and all that stuff.
Right.
So that is something that we support through our API, and that's definitely the integration that we're pushing for with our
That's
clients.
smart. Get in at the developer layer, and then it's kind of like in every single product potentially.
Correct. That's the idea. And yeah, the API is built to be super flexible. So like you can really do anything you want with it. What we do on our end is just ensure that the person that generated the wallet pass that is bound to an NFT, that they remain in ownership of that NFT throughout the lifetime of that
Mm.
pass. So if you were to transfer your asset, then the pass will also become invalidated. not only in our system, but remotely as well. So I can kind of demo that for you actually, so you just get a better idea of how that works. So the best way to probably demo this is just to use the live demo on the site, right?
Yeah.
So this wallet I have some Surge Women passports, some Dev tokens, DD tokens. Let's do one with an image.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my Apple Wallet. So what's gonna happen here is when I sign this message, the signature is submitted to our backend along with the details of the NFT, contract address, token ID, chain ID. We'll check in real time, so we'll read from the smart contract, make sure that you're the owner of that NFT. And if so, we'll go ahead and issue you this pass. So let me go ahead and actually slide this screen in here too.
Nice. Oh, so sweet. That's awesome. That you have the on-screen iPhone screen share. Wait. So quick question. What happens if I scan that QR code right now with my phone?
So right now it's just an arbitrary barcode message. So unless you have access to these API keys, you won't really be able to do anything with it. So I can explain a little bit further of how that works. So right now, what I mentioned earlier, so it's built as an API service, so it's flexible to your specific implementation, right? And when you create the pass in the payload, you're able to specify like what message you want to encode in the barcode. This message can be anything. It's an arbitrary string payload, right? It can be either like an ID that ties to a record in your system. So after you scan the pass, once it's validated, the response payload from our service will return that original message that you put in to
as
the barcode.
Developer. Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Wait, so I can scan actually the code on the right? And that's different than the one on the left. The one on the left is to bring the pass into Apple Wallet. The one on the right is the one that actually has the signed message.
Correct. So you can try. So since I already downloaded the pass on my wallet, each pass can only be registered to one device. So we can try this. We can try this now if you want. Like you can go ahead and scan that QR code on the left if you wanted
I'll try and scan it right now. So I've tapped
so you can scan it.
And then the pass does show up. Yeah. And then
it does show up, but you can go ahead and add it. If you go ahead and add it, it will try to register with our platform, but we'll already pick up that it's been registered with the device. So if you go back to that pass, there should be no barcode on it. There should be no QR code rendered on it.
Okay. Wait, hold on. I think I clicked something wrong here. Okay, redoing it. I'm loading it, adding it. Oh, I see. When I try adding it, it tries to authenticate me and do some other stuff. But the pass, you're right, did not have the barcode on it. Okay, correct. So now I can scan the barcode. Does that do anything?
The one on my screenshot? Go ahead. No, it's just a signature.
Got it. So that depends on like the application that is consuming it afterwards to know what to do with it.
Correct. So the payload that you specify on the barcode is like obviously encrypted on our side as well, but then it's signed by our own set of private keys as well. So essentially, what you're seeing there is like that signature.
Okay.
And the only way for you to be able to actually scan it and retrieve any type of data is if you're using the right API keys, right? That you use to issue the pass.
Got it. Okay, so what's an example, just to tie this all together, because we have these components of how to get people the passes and where the developer plays a role using your service. Can you tie the whole flow together for me with an example, practical use case, like one of the events that you've actually been partnering with?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, I'm wondering if I should go through the whole demo.
Oh, yeah, go for it. Sorry.
One important thing. No worries. I think one important thing to note is that so once the pass is issued, we essentially monitor, and this is using Alchemy's web subscription API actually, where we monitor each new block that gets added. We scan to see all the transfer events, and if this token, for example, that I just generated an NFT for, gets transferred out, we invalidate the pass automatically.
Right. Okay.
So I think what might be best is for me to try to do that real quick. So let's just.
I wonder how many times you had to do this demo, spending gas fees passing around your NFT.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, this is my only way to test it in
Yeah, yeah.
production, so um, I have
Makes
to kind
sense.
of do it. Okay, so let's just go to OpenSea, and then let's go ahead and. So this is a token that I just generated a pass for. So let me go ahead and transfer it.
Fortunately, gas fees are low right now.
So what you're going to see happen, yeah. So what you're going to see happen here essentially is once this transaction goes through and it's added to a block, we have a contract listener to all the contracts in our system, and they'll see, okay, this token just got transferred. Are there any valid passes in our system that match this? And oh, you see how it
Yeah,
disappeared?
nice. I saw
Sorry.
that. I saw that.
Cool.
If you guys missed it,
So
just
not only
rewind,
that,
rewind to see the moment.
yeah, we'll rewind. So both Apple and Google have a way of like invalidating these passes, and you can see like, so what we do is we remove the barcode entirely from the pass, and then if you were to come back to Apple Wallet, it's now going to be under the expired passes section here,
Beautiful.
right? So that's kind of an extra measure that we do on our end. So for the people that are issuing these passes, they don't necessarily need to worry about whether or not the token gets transferred or not. We monitor that activity for them and invalidate the passes.
So not only is the barcode gone now
pretty
here,
much it
but
for,
also, in case someone screenshots the barcode, like what happens there?
Yeah, good question. That's definitely a common question that gets asked. So if someone was to previously screenshot the barcode, in this case, it still wouldn't work because when the barcode is scanned, we check again in real time whether that person's in ownership of that NFT. But let's just assume that the pass was still valid, but someone took a screenshot of it. So our API returns like a full scan history of all the times a scan took place, and this has been sufficient to kind of mitigate that edge case of someone using the same pass twice. But believe it or not, there are use cases that come up where people will be reusing an existing pass multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah,
it's not
maybe
necessarily
coming in
always
and out
tied
of the
to
event or something like that. Yeah.
a single claim. You'll be coming in and out of an event, and you'll also be scanning at different points within an event. So you may scan the pass for entry, but after you enter, you might also be scanning at a specific booth or wherever it might be to redeem different types of perks, right? So again, our API allows you to kind of make those decisions on your own. We're trying to keep it as open as possible and not really make any decisions on their behalf. So use cases.
Basically, what I'm also hearing is that
some of the real world use cases,
like if there is someone building a Web3 event, right, or something like that, and then because I know Eventbrite has like ticketing solutions, and then you can also scan barcodes and stuff like that. They could use your system to implement that checking, and then it's up to them to figure out like, okay, here's how many multiple scans we're going to allow, and maybe whatever parameters they want to tweak.
Exactly. So I think a prime example of that is actually to just use ETC as an example. So Unlock Protocol is essentially the company that handled the ticketing for ETC, and they're doing a bunch of different events. They essentially allow you to do membership or event type tickets using NFTs. And what we were able to do is integrate with Unlock, where each one of the ETC event tickets that were sold as NFTs, you can download essentially an Apple Wallet or Google Pass to represent the ownership of that and use that for check-in versus their current method, which is essentially just emailing you, I think, a QR code or something like that.
That's really cool. And then so they had like people with iPhones walking around doing the scanning?
They already have a whole check-in process built on their end. So all they did was just scan. They were able to configure the barcodes on the wallet passes to be compatible with their system. So they just use their existing scanning software to scan these QR codes on the wallet passes. So essentially, it's just a different method of delivery, right? So instead of emailing it, you give people the option to download it directly into their Apple or Google Wallet.
That's cool.
I think another cool one. Someone asked, I think, on Twitter some of the interesting use cases that are coming up, and one interesting one that we're working on with an artist is artists that do like physical redeemables. So you'll mint the piece first, and then, you know, in the near future, you'll go to an actual event and be able to claim the physical piece, right, of that
nice.
NFT you purchased. So what we're enabling these artists to do is, after you mint their piece online, immediately after, during the checkout process, you download that NFT into your Apple or Google wallet. Then when the time comes for the event, you don't need to carry that wallet with you. You just enter using this wallet pass, and that serves as your entry and your ticket to claim the physical redeemable.
That makes a lot of sense. That's so interesting.
That makes sense.
So I guess taking a step back, I mean, for you and me, I think, having been in this space for a little bit and playing around with NFTs, I'm a huge fan of having this kind of direct integration with the NFT platform, with the blockchain technology, and making it useful, making these NFTs useful. But also for people who are maybe a little bit newer to the space, or like kind of Web3 curious, if you will, what is it about like Web3? Like why did we need to do this with blockchain technology? You know, why not build a new Eventbrite, you know, or like a better Eventbrite, let's say, or yeah, for lack of a better analogy. What are your thoughts on that? Or like, how would you talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. What is it that's different, right? I mean, I think there is something to say about feeling like this sense of ownership in something that's like public, and you can truly say that this is mine and I own this, and it's publicly visible to everybody. But also, I think when you're talking about ticketing or events in general, you know, obviously we can talk about mitigating fraud and all the stuff that people talk about, but I think like the royalties aspects is a big thing for a lot of event ticketing companies. I mean, when you think about like sports, like, you know, sports stadiums and stuff, like, you know, the Dodgers or whoever are selling tickets, if they now have a way to actually earn some royalties on resales, like why would they not choose to do that, right? And just having this concept of programmable money where you can really do anything, attach royalties or what have you, it almost seems like a no-brainer for some of these existing companies to just adopt this technology. But I don't know if I have a direct answer of like, why do we need Web3 to do this? I'm not even a big fan of the term Web3, if you want to ask me. I mean, this is just another form of technology, right? And I think, yeah, when you zoom out, I think it's really just that and nothing more than that. It's just a newer way of doing things. And all of us are kind of like riding this wave. A lot of us don't know what this really is, but we obviously see the potential. And I think just being believers in cryptocurrency in general, right? Just crypto is so much bigger than just NFTs, right? So I think it's about the whole space and being excited about the whole space, at least for me personally. Right, I think NFTs is one aspect of it, but I think it's the whole, you know, aspect of the movement and everything that excites me the most.
I definitely feel that way as well. This is a very like exciting environment to be in, because we have these new primitives to then explore and really figure out like what we don't know, which is how are we going to use these to kind of create really novel experiences. I do like for NFTs. I like that you mentioned this earlier, that there is this ownership of this digital asset now, that where like before, like let's say you have a paper ticket, right? And let's say there were only paper tickets in circulation for a certain event, then we could all say like, okay, if you have one of these paper tickets, you can get in. If you don't, you can't. But then also, even with paper tickets, it's like maybe people can like counterfeit it and reprint a copy or something like that. You can try and do clever things to make sure that it's watermarked. And then we entered digital ticketing, and it's like, okay, now you can copy QR codes. You can, or you have to have like some centralized database that is keeping a very strict counter on things. But now with NFTs, we have this kind of like medium, this compromise that has all the best parts of everything, including the paper ticket, where I can hold on to it and it's mine and no one else has it. But also it has the power of like the instantaneous transfer abilities of the internet. And so, yeah,
absolutely,
it's awesome that we have a project like ETHpass exploring it.
We're super excited. I mean, really, our goal is to bring like IRL utility to the space with NFTs. Like that's our primary focus, right? And I think you'll see a lot of use cases evolve within the next couple of years. I think the next big trend we're seeing is like, you know, redeemables, like claiming assets in real life. And like one example, like, oh, like your Air Jordans, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever bought
One
Jordan.
of
My
my
brother's
best
a
friends,
big
yeah, super
Air
into
Jordan
it.
fan. Like shoes, like he used to wait in line, you know, and like they wait in line for hours, right? And someone threw out this use case the other day. It's like, well, what if you can buy your Air Force Ones as an NFT, and then you can claim them in real life at any time you want? Like you purchase that asset. Nike then holds that shoe for you in
Right.
storage until you're ready to pick it up. And in 6 months, you can, if you don't pick up those shoes, you can resell that NFT to someone else that
I love that.
wants
And you're not
those pair of
dealing
shoes
with
just
the
because, you know what I
shipping.
mean?
Like I don't have to wait physically in line. I also don't have to, like, when I resell it, ship the shoe to someone. And there's this whole like risk of not having a broker. Like what if they get the shoe, don't pay me? Or what if I run away with the money? And you can start building in some of those digital
Exactly.
checks on the platforms themselves, which is really cool. And I love that you have this API approach because
Exactly.
you give this flexibility to this whole new wave of developers to then customize it. I'm actually now, like, you got my gears turning. Maybe we can kind of introduce this to the Road to Web community, Road to Web 3 community that we have going on within Alchemy. A lot of people are kind of building out projects, learning how to do NFTs, DeFi, all this kind of stuff. We're trying to branch into hackathons, so it's like, okay, this could be a new technology we have people experiment with and learn how to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just recently became part of ETHGlobal's hackathon with Zora, which is going on right now. It just started today. So we're a tech partner with them. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm really stoked about this approach, but I'm not gonna lie, it comes with its set of difficulties. So up until this point, to use the product, you got to be a developer and an engineer, right?
Totally.
Like, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So it's been a struggle for me to like get this out and get people testing it, because it's a lot harder than just like downloading an app that's ready to go and you can kind of just configure everything.
Okay,
right?
That's great that you're talking about this, because this is like one of my questions was what's been one of the biggest challenges. So get the adoption, right, is kind of what you're talking about here.
The adoption's been difficult, but I think now with some of the use cases that are popping up. Look, the truth of it is that if as a developer, if you actually use our API, I made it super easy to use, right? Nice. Like, within a week, you could integrate ETHPass, and I'm being conservative by saying a week. You can integrate ETHPass within your flow of your product just to test it out, right? You don't have to access the full functionality of the platform to do that. Yeah. But if you wanted to like replicate the demo, for example, on the homepage, that's just one API call. Yeah. That's it. It's just one API call, right? So that's been challenging, but also like building this on my own from the ground up, balancing that with marketing has been extremely difficult. So like I don't spend too much. I try to like engage in Twitter or try to put content out there, but it's hard because I'm just like I'm building all day. No, definitely. And you're like, oh, I got this bug that I can't figure out. Like I can't walk away from this right now and like write this tweet. Like I got to figure this out.
I got you. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. So I think those two things. I mean, this is speaking more from like a builder and like a dev trying to start his own business or company. Yep. I think that's been one of the more difficult things. Is just like marketing the product and onboarding people initially, because it's not as easy as like an app that you can just download, for example. Like you have to actually integrate this within your existing platform and service. Yeah. But we're working towards making that a lot easier. So in the next month, you'll see a whole like developer dashboard start forming, right? Nice. Where you can log in as a developer, configure your app. Right now it's a manual process. I provision API keys for people. Yeah, that's how it starts. So starting. Yeah, that's how it starts. But next month, we'll start building out a developer dashboard, but also for product and marketing teams to be able to see like just some basic stats of passes generated, scanned, a lot of forms, fun stuff, right? Front end forms is what I got to be building.
I love that. Okay. So that's really good to hear. So, we're talking in August, beginning of August right now. I think we'll publish sometime in the middle of August, but within a couple of weeks after people who are watching this, we'll have a lot more, I guess, UX on your site to support the developer onboarding, which is cool. Yeah. But the reason why I bring up the Road to Web 3 community is that's also like it is targeted towards developers, and so if you also maybe there's an opportunity for you to build like the example app that like, it's like a, I don't know, for enterprises who are lazy and don't want to do the development, it's like, okay, you can use this like out of the box solution that isn't super customized, but we host it for you or something like that. And then, it becomes like a
Yeah,
demo.
we thought about that. I've definitely thought about that, about like having some kind of interface that's like a drop in widget, right? Um, but I'm also viewing this as a little bit more of like a strategic business decision as
Yeah.
well, because I think that, if you have a company that really wants to greenlight this, they're going to have the resources to put an engineer. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. That's true.
So it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Filter for the people who are like the highest
Correct.
intent.
And I
Yeah.
guess, to your question prior, which is what's been the challenge, I think the challenge has also been saying no to some requests. Like people have asked, can you do this? Or can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, I can, but like, do I want to put the resources to build that just for this one use case? So it's hard. You have to turn down business essentially and really stay focused on at least what I think is the vision of this product in the next half year to a year. Um, so to other
Right.
developers, I guess I would say is
That totally
like,
makes sense.
don't react if someone gives you a suggestion. If it's a feature someone really wants, you'll hear at least two people ask you for it. And once you hear the second person ask you for it, that's when
Yeah.
you should start considering adding it as a feature.
Because then
There's
there's
a
a
pattern.
pattern, and then maybe there's like an underlying pain
Yeah.
point that you
You'll
should figure
you'll know
out
if there is an
and
underlying
solve
pain
for.
point, you'll hear from more than one person for sure. So like be
Right.
patient in
Right.
that.
Yeah. Cool. I love that. That's great. That's great
Cool.
entrepreneurial insight. Let's see. We have a question from Twitter. Actually, I tweeted it
Yeah, let's do
earlier
it.
today, and then we have a question from Aaron. I'd love to hear their perspectives on POAPS, proof of attendance NFTs, and some of the coolest use cases the ETHPass team is seeing. So we did talk about some of the cool use cases already with conferences. Yeah, what's your take on, I guess, non-transferable NFTs, but also proof of attendance NFTs, this particular subset, I guess, of the technology?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of non-transferable, I think it just depends on context and how that NFT is being used. In a use case where it's like a one-time claim ticket that happens to be an NFT and it's deemed non-transferable, that makes total sense. With the other common use case that you see with PFP projects, membership-based projects, I don't think that makes sense at all. I think you should always have the right to transfer those assets if you wish. POAPs, yeah, I think the concept is incredible. I love POAPs. I have a relationship with Patricio. We've integrated with POAP.
Nice.
And in close contact with them and the team. I do know that there's been this discussion recently about POAP charging because they've been free up to this point, and I think now I didn't read into the thread, but they're basically starting to ask questions of like, should the collectors pay? Should the issuers pay? Should POAP pay? So I'm a big believer that as a collector, like POAP should remain free for collectors, right?
Yeah.
But I also do understand POAP's point of view of like you're a business, right? Like you gotta make some
Right.
money somehow.
Right.
I think it makes total sense for the issuers to cough up the cost for that,
Yeah,
right?
intuitively, I agree with
And
that. Yeah, it's like I'm going out of my way to want to like incentivize some behavior, whether it's like, show that you came to our event or whatever. I should be paying for that infrastructure since I'm not building it myself. I'm using POAPs.
exactly, and
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me.
it's incredible, like the barrier even like $1 creates. It's not even about the actual price tag. It's the fact that someone may not even want to pay $1 to get that POAP, but if you're like, hey, we're going to
Yeah,
drop it to you for free, they're like, I'll take it. It's free,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and who knows how many people they've been able to onboard into the space simply by that, simply by issuing them a free POAP. People that had no idea what an NFT even was. Their
Right.
introduction was through receiving this POAP, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I find that extremely powerful, and I want to see that keep going that way, right? So I think issuers should pay. Maybe POAP does something where, like, just like a subscription plan, I guess. Like if you issue up to 10, it's free. Anything above
Yeah.
10, you pay like metered billing, something like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so we do have a small integration. So we built this kind of like event ticketing platform thing a couple months ago. But that might sunset because they're just really focusing a little bit more on the API. Again, it's trying to get other people to integrate with the product versus us be our own standalone platform. But the idea with what we want to do with POAP integration is just make it easier for people to use the API. So if you simply just want to send a POAP to somebody, instead of worrying about POAPs, OAuth, and all that stuff to get set up, you can just essentially drag and drop your POAP that's attached to a wallet pass on ETHPass, and then each time it gets scanned, it'll send that POAP automatically, for example.
See if I understand. I would be a distributor. I have a QR code for other people to then claim their POAP.
Yeah, so you would have your wallet pass configured, right, for let's just say your membership club, right? But then through like the dashboard, you'd be able to configure it and say, hey, on this date, if my membership passes get scanned, send them this POAP.
Oh, got it. Okay, I see.
So
it's an extra step.
You would scan.
Yeah.
Because you already know the wallet address, right? You already know the wallet address. So you'd kind of knock out two birds with one stone, right? You would scan them, verify them for entry, and then behind the scenes drop a POAP to that wallet address.
Okay, that's interesting. So there's another like I guess proof of attendance protocol, but they didn't start out this way, but you can use it for it, called Mint Kudos. Have you heard of that project?
I've seen some tweets about it, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, mintkudos.xyz. It's they're starting out as more of like I guess like the way I use it for Road to Web 3 actually is like certification or badging. So with our Road to Web 3 content, really it's like a series of 10 tutorials or projects. You can build an NFT marketplace. You can build a 0x API token swap, like this kind of stuff to get people acquainted with blockchain development. And every time you complete one of these tutorials and then, like answer one of the challenge prompts, I'll actually check the work, and then if you've completed it, I mint you one of these they're non-transferable tokens, and so it shows like, okay, you've completed week 1, here's your badge, you've earned it. It's a proof of knowledge token is what we call it.
Nice.
And then they have this feature now too, where you can, so for those badges, they're actually allow listed. So I will allow list people to claim them explicitly, because sometimes, there may be other people who are like airdropping, random tokens that are just like really bogus, and you might not want that bloating in your NFT, especially if they're in your wallet, especially if they're non-transferable. So they like started out with this allow list flow, and then they also have this feature now where it's essentially a proof of attendance too, where you can have a link as the distributor. You create a link, you create a design, you have like text on it, metadata, and then you like have people go to your link or scan a QR code, put in your address, and then they can kind of claim one of those as well. So
interesting.
To me, the biggest difference is like they're non-transferable, and so there's like another framing, I guess, to how to use those versus something that is more transferable. But I think that just remains to be seen of how the industry takes it.
Yeah, I think things are evolving every day. So
yeah, totally. But so actually wanted to, one last topic before we wrap up, wanted to dig a little bit more into how you're using Alchemy with the subscription API, because that's something I've been trying to learn more about and also demonstrate to other people. Like, what are the real life use cases of some of the aspects of the Alchemy blockchain developer platform? So is that something you can dig into a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, I'll give a shout out to Alchemy, just because how reliable your guys' services have been for myself, for developing with ETHPass. Full transparency, we use multiple nodes to power ETHPass, so it's not always
no worries.
Pointing to one single one.
Yeah.
However, I will say that up until this point, I've had absolutely zero issues using Alchemy's providers. And the other piece that we take advantage of is essentially like your subscription-based API and the subscription that's part of your Web3 SDK, right? So if I'm not mistaken, you guys have like a little bit of abstraction on top of the subscription API where you already automatically handle reconnects. If the socket gets dropped and all that stuff.
Reconnects.
Right.
Yeah.
So before I found that, I kind of had my own crude solution, like, socket connection closes, retry, do all this stuff. And I was like, man, I don't want to deal with any of this. Like, I just want something that will handle it for me. Right. So we're basically using Alchemy's SDK. And the demo that I showed you that, invalidated the pass after it was transferred.
Yep.
So that is a separate service. That's a separate service that we have running independent from like the API that people consume, which essentially listens to new blocks that are added to the chain. And we have that across mainnet, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, like all of the chains that we support.
Yeah.
And then your NFT API, I do use a little bit. So I want to take a moment and point out that like the core infrastructure of ETHPass doesn't rely on any third-party SDK. So we really try, it's just straight smart contract reads.
Yeah.
Like we don't rely on Alchemy, OpenSea, or any of the other companies out there to actually validate NFT ownership. It's all smart contract reads. However, like the live demo and some other cases we have that are UI specific, will leverage Alchemy's NFT API to display contract details or images, all the difficult stuff that you guys do with these NFT APIs. Man, that's so much work to deal with NFT metadata. I don't know how you guys.
It's an ongoing battle every single day. Shout out to the engineering team at Alchemy who's focusing on it.
Big time. Shout out. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's so much work. And earlier I had said pushing back on features. That was one thing people kept asking me is like, oh, could we, specify certain characteristics based on traits? And I was like, there is no standard in NFT metadata. If there was, I'd say absolutely.
Right.
But, I don't want to build that basically, right? So it's really nice to have, APIs like Alchemy's that help with some of those edge cases. But it's really your core infrastructure that I rely on the most, honestly.
For those nodes, like smart contract reads.
Your SDK.
Yeah. That's super cool. That's awesome. And then something else that I wanted to like offer, I guess, to help out with, and we can talk about this like off the call afterwards. You mentioned like the marketing and getting distribution and getting like adoption. We do have like Alchemy Amplify. I don't know why I blanked out for a second, brain fart. Alchemy Amplify, which is kind of like our like co-marketing initiative too. So that's something that I think we can definitely look into helping out with. Get you on our newsletter, like this kind of stuff. Oops, accidentally locked my screen. But yeah, that's if that's helpful. That's also part of the kind of like the whole Alchemy ecosystem. So super happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be dope.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I think we're just at about time. I think how about one last tiny question just to wrap it all up. And generally speaking, what are some words of wisdom for people who are entering the Web3 space as a developer? Let's assume like they have a couple of years experience like you did when you were kind of entering Web3. What would you say are some words of wisdom for these folks who are entering the space? Some tips or advice.
I think I read this the other day on Twitter, so I might be copying someone else's words of wisdom. But I think I would say instead of starting by learning, learn by starting. So instead of worrying about learning everything and knowing everything, just start. And then you'll learn.
And what are some sense. I think that's really great advice, and I would advocate for that too. What are some concrete like steps that you might suggest?
I mean, first and foremost, you kind of need an idea, right? Like you need to believe in, we're talking about builder specific, right? Like if we're talking about developers, like first and foremost is really having that idea, and then building the smallest iteration of it up front. That's also been the battle for me, right? It's like I try to be a perfectionist. I try to do everything like, as perfect as possible, but sometimes you have to drop those things and really move on to like the core features of your product or what is it that you're selling.
Get some validation from users to see if they even like want that thing, that solution, the way you're imagining it.
Correct. So like, when I tweeted about ETHPass prototype, I just went in, I created the Discord, I created the Twitter. I just said, okay, like I'm going to do this. So you guys let me know what you think. And had I not done that, had I waited 3-4 months before I actually like put a website up or anything up, I don't know if I would be where I am today. And maybe I'll segue into some news that I'll drop on this channel, which I haven't made public yet. But about 2 months ago, I got the interest from Mark Cuban in ETHPass.
Wow.
Basically, I did a deal with them as the first investor in ETHPass.
That's so exciting. Congratulations.
Which I haven't. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah. I haven't made the announcement yet. I think I'll do it next week. So people get the exclusive drop here on this segment. But I think, and the reason why I mentioned is not only just to say it, but I think, all the stuff that I mentioned earlier about not setting up enough time for marketing, I still did little things, right? But I really did just stay focused on building the product. And somehow magically, I was able to still garner enough interest from someone like Cuban, right? And others too. But I mean, Cuban's really the main guy, right? That, you kind of feel like this sense of validation that, okay, like the work that I put in, I got it to a point that, someone like Mark was ready to invest in. So,
it's worth the FOMO of like not having gone to the events and whatnot that people seem to be going to all the time.
a little bit. I mean, I still feel like a little bit of FOMO when I miss out on some of these events. But I think just for the words of wisdom, going back to what I was saying, like, learn by starting, but also try not to think too much about like exposure and whether you have the Twitter followers, because like, I mean, look at my Twitter. I got like 400 people. I have nobody, like that's nobody compared to like some other projects out there. But I think just stay true to what you think is like what you're building. And eventually it'll catch someone's attention. Right. That's probably my words of wisdom.
I love it. Thank you so much for
just do it.
Just do it. Build something that you find useful, that you would use yourself, and stay focused on that. That's great. I love that theme. We'll end there because that's also, the theme of this whole show series. So appreciate you imparting that wisdom. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
And then I will actually include links to Chris's Twitter, to ETHPass website in the video description below. So definitely go check that out. And again, huge congratulations on the raise. I think this episode might come out after your announcement. So I think so. Have the first thunder or whatever the saying is. But awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and really hope to be able to catch up again soon.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate the time and the opportunity and the platform for me to kind of share my story. And we'll chat online as always.
Definitely. All right. Bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And again, a big congratulations to Chris for his funding round led by Mark Cuban. I hope we see the announcements somewhere soon. And if they're out by the time this video is published, I'll definitely include them in the video description. But definitely go give him a shout out on Twitter. Go check out the product, try developing with it. And let me know in the comments who I should invite next. Bye.